Hey, hi, hello, how are you? Please do not mind my hair. I'm in the middle of freaking wrapping it up. Y'all know how it is. If you get a silk press, you gotta keep it pressed silky by just keeping it wrapped. I'm about to run out here to the grocery store and the gas station, but this thought just popped up into my head, right? Because everybody's freaking out. I just saw another video on TikTok of a young man in distress about the new. I believe they're trying to pass a bill that young men from the ages of 18 to 26 must register for the selective draft in case that we go to war as a nation. And I do believe that young women, I'm 29, so but young women have to also be able will also have to register for the draft, which I don't see no problem with. You got a lot of men being petty, saying, "Oh, women want equality," blah blah. Listen, first of all, open up a book. Women have fought in wars for thousands of years. Women have waged and won wars for thousands of years. Look up Queen Nzinga. Look up a lot of just ancient queens or just empresses and such and such. Fighting in wars was something that women always had to do. Like if too many men got killed in battle, or like if a village got raided or whatever, what have you, women had to pick up something and throw some bows too. But it had me thinking. I had recently saw another TikTok. TikTok is so informational, okay? And they said that did you know that the Vikings, right? Like the big strong Vikings that they were warriors, they were conquerors, they were explorers, they were conquistadors or that's the Spanish. I'm sorry. But listen, pretty much like the Vikings from the old age, those men who we champion as being brave and intelligent, and they were able to just go out and conquer this world and subdue it. They were actually incels. You're like, well, what do you mean? It's like this. Back in those times in the Vikings, it was too many young men, right? So they would actually send the access men off to war or to go out to explore, right? To find themselves, or whatever. Because too many young men, it usually can cause a huge problem for society. Even in ancient Rome times, like in ancient Rome, young men were seen as a nuisance, right? Could be violent, they're aggressive, they could be sexually frustrated, they can't have a girlfriend or a wife or whatever. They weren't able to attract these women. They were single. Young men, they of course they have high testosterone. So what the ancient Romans would do is they would literally, in a way, like pretty much ban young men from society. Like they couldn't, like I guess like young men, they would have to they would literally send them off somewhere, right? If they had an excess of young men, they would literally purposely send them off to war to be killed. And like when you think about it, it's fucked up, but it's kind of like these young men back in those times, even today, as you can see, they wreak so much havoc on society because they don't have a woman, children, a job, a career, a purpose, a passion. Like men need purpose and passion, right? So think about it in modern time today. First of all, I made a video like weeks ago called "Men Now Outnumber Women," which is the truth. If you look up statistics right now in the year 2024, I believe it's over like 60 million more men than women on the planet. It's like 4 billion.03 men on the planet, and it's like 3.8 or 3.9 billion women on the planet. Men now outnumber women. And then when you talk about single young women who are fertile, when you add in the population of young, single, attractive women who are fertile, like, women in the childbearing years, let's say from ages 15 to, I know, like, it's older, but like what's considered childbearing years is ages 15 to 44. That's a very small subset of women. And then you talk about women ages 18 to say 35 or 18 to 30. That's a very, very, very tiny, tiny, tiny sliver of our population. Like that, actually, that pool of young women is actually decreasing. It's not increasing because of the falling birth rate. So women are not making enough children. We're not having enough children to actually not having enough children to replace the next generation, right? The birth replacement rate, right? A healthy replacement rate. Each woman has to have 2.1 children. And you say, well, what is 0.1? So let's say you have 100 children, babies being born. Unfortunately, due to circumstances, about 15 to 20 of those babies might die, or they'll die, right? It's a percentage of babies that die from, they won't even make it to the age of 5. Childhood cancer, fire, car accidents, drownings is a huge one. They said that the number one death for children ages 1 to 4 is drowning. So because so many children die and so many women die during pregnancy and childbirth, did you know that over 500,000 women die each year around this world from pregnancy and childbirth alone? There's no war nowadays where 500,000, that's a lot of women that dies because of that, right? And that's worldwide. So literally 500,000 women die each year. So because so many women and children die, like our women have to at least each woman, every single woman alive has to have at least 2.1 children. But because the birth rate is so low and because this fertile pool of women, right, who can actually have healthy children is low, right? So many women suffer from endometriosis. Some women suffer from fibroids. Some women suffer from infertility issues. So it's like, it's not so simple to just say women need to have more kids. Even women who want children, they really want to be moms, for whatever reason they can't have them because it's a numerous reasons like I just mentioned. But anyways, I'm kind of straying off the topic. So because we have this access of young men, right, in society today, when you say, well, what do you mean, Geneva, when you say access of young men? For an example, how many times have you been outside, mainly a gas station, a McDonald's, but let's say mainly a gas station, and you see a group of young men? It's like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 young men just standing around doing nothing. And it's like they're kind of harassing women, they catcalling women, they touching women, they're trying to rob men, other men, carjacking people, they're trying to rob the damn gas station. You don't see young women in like a group of young women in pools, just standing around, such as like a business, just loitering around, right? Because women, I ain't gonna lie, like because of our nature, we have to be more responsible. We have to be productive. Even if a woman is not in school, she doesn't even have a job. Usually a woman is being productive at home. She's cooking, cleaning, taking care of children. She's a married housewife, something. But young men who have no purpose, right? They haven't found themselves. They may have not been raised by a father, unfortunately, which is a huge, huge crisis in our society. You see them just standing around, just wandering aimlessly. Like you see, and I hate to say it, but my people specifically, like even older black men, young black men, it's like they just walking in circles. They have no purpose. You just see them at gas stations. They could be 40, 50, plus they got gray in their beard. It's like, what are you doing out here, sir? Just drinking out of a beer, harassing every woman that walks your way. And it's like you see that society, I believe, like the American government is seeing that so many young men are at one, they're numerous, they're access, they're everywhere you go, and they have no purpose. They're not enrolled in school, they're not enrolled in the military, they're not trying to get a job or whatever. So unfortunately, this conflict between Ukraine and Russia, Ukraine is losing. Okay, Ukraine is pretty much our baby mom. Anytime she wants some money, we just give it to her. So the government is, in my predictions, in my belief, like they see that the Ukraine is losing against Russia, and they're planning on using young men who are aimless in life, unfortunately, in our society, and they want to send them over there to try to combat against the Russian troops. Now, again, I am one that is against the draft for male or female. I believe men and women, but see, a house divided cannot stand. People are so divided nowadays in America. You got male versus female, black versus white, the older generation versus the young generation. You got millennials versus the boomers. You got the boomers versus the Gen Z versus the millennials. This is so much division, right? But it seems like we all can agree right now that a draft is not something that we desire. It's not something that we can afford. We can't, we can't do it. Biden, we just can't. I believe that we need to come together as one, as a nation, as Americans, and just say, no, it's barbaric. We should not send young men or young women, anybody who's against their will, to the war. Like, first you should at least, again, like, obviously, like, you need to protect our borders. We got to protect our people and our citizens and our freedoms. Absolutely. I'm actually in the military right now. That's what the fuck I'm doing. But it's like, first, allow people to volunteer, okay? This is how I would run it. First, let's just see how many young men and women, okay, women included, want to volunteer, okay? Now, if we haven't met our quota or it's not enough, then maybe start drawing from people. But first, I'm thinking like the men in prisons, even women in prison, like maybe you could fight for your freedom back. There's literally over a quarter million women locked up in prison. It's like over 1.3 million male prisoners. That right there would more than double our freaking military personnel that we have active duty and reserves right now. I say draw from the prisons first, right? And that's I know some people might see this and say, oh, that's fucked up. Just because you're a prisoner, you're a criminal, you can't just force people to war. But it's like, listen, I'm giving you an opportunity to actually pay off your debt to society because you robbed a bank, you murdered somebody, kidnapped a child. I don't know. It's like, but look, if you go out here and fight for us, we'll pay you, give you housing, clothing, food, shelter. And you know what? If you actually put in some work and if you survive, once you come back home, I'll let you go. I'll clean off your record, unless it's something crazy, sexual offenses. But it's if it's drugs and shit, let them get a chance to fight for their freedom. That's what I'm saying. Do y'all agree with that? Do y'all think that's fair? I think it's fair. Okay, we're not forcing the prisoners, but we're just saying if you want an opportunity, right, to get your freedom back, you want to get out this cage, come fight for your nation, pay back your debts to society, whatever you did, drug offenses. A lot of people people who are in prison for like non-violent crimes, or if you were vengeful, I say that you killed a man because he killed your son or something like that. What you did was wrong, but it's like, you know what? We're going to allow you to pay off that debt by going to fight for your nation, you know? I also have to put in this tidbit, like a lot of men were clowning women when the Roe versus Wade law got overturned about 2 years ago. They saying like, yo, that's what women get. Y'all need to have children. Y'all can't be a baby murderer or whatever. And like, that's your opinion. Like me, I'm at the point where I don't give a damn. I just don't. I just want to be. If a woman has a medical emergency, or or if she's a victim of assault or rape, I believe that she should have the right to terminate that pregnancy. If no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But a lot of men was kind of women like, oh, the government's about to force y'all body to do whatever. And it's like, now look at men. The government is literally trying to force y'all bodies against y'all's will. They're trying to use your body to fight this rich white man's war. And it's like, it's not fair. Especially as us as African Americans, I feel like we have yet to get reparations. Like black men and young black women, we should be completely, what's the word? We should not have to be forced into a draft. People are not feeling patriotic these days. The last time Americans felt very patriotic and they felt some way about their nation was 9/11. You had young men and young women volunteering to sign up for the military because they're like, these bitches and knocked our shit back on our lands. Oh no, we can't have this. Like, I'm going to the military as soon as I get my high school diploma. The people, you saw young men and young women jump into the Navy, the Marines, Army, Air Force, what have you. But again, it's like we have so much pressure and like stress on us as Americans these days. Are that we in debt? The bills ain't billing. The bills ain't getting paid because these jobs don't want to pay us enough. We stressed out. We overworked. We got to sit 2 hours in traffic just to get to and from work. Like now you're talking about a war that we ain't got nothing to do with. If you were to ask the average young man or woman these days and say, hey, the conflict with Ukraine and Russia, the Palestinians, free Palestine, hey, you going to war, neutralize these threats. They wouldn't even know what the fuck you talking about. I'm like, you want me to go to war for what? Like, what's going on in the world today again? I know a little bit about the, hashtag free Palestine, and I know that the conflict between Ukraine and Russia, but like, they like, what that got to do with me? Like, no, like, I'm stressed out. I'm working 2 jobs, trying to, pay off this car. Food is like, just to get a fruit roll up and a gusher and a pack of cornbread at the grocery store is like $80. Like, no, I'm not going to war for nobody. It's like you got to pour into people in order for them to pour into you. Fill up that man or woman's cup, and then they can actually pour out. They can have some overflow to give back to you. We ain't got nothing else in our cup. Like, look, it's my water bottle. Okay, it's full, but imagine it's empty. Okay, it's nothing in for me to give y'all. Okay, what are you guys' thoughts below in the comment section about this draft, trying to select both young men and young women? Again, I'm against the draft for men or women. I believe we need to come together, put our petty differences aside, men and women, black and white, old, young, no matter your generation, and say no. Pull from the damn prisons first. Okay, and then you can talk to me.